Sue. Thank you, everybody. I'm Fran Bennett. I'm a trustee of the Blackbird Leys Neighbourhood Support Scheme Limited, and my glamorous assistant is Letitia Walker, who's our reception person. And who are we? Well, we're Blackbird Leys Neighbourhood Support Scheme Limited, which is such a mouthful that none of us ever say it, but it's important because it's actually Blackbird Leys and that's where we work. And you probably know it's a pocket of poverty on the periphery of the city. We used to be called the Blackbird Leys Advice Centre, and then we were renamed the Agnes Smith Advice Centre after our first centre manager, Agnes Smith, who came from the local area, was the first volunteer as well, and was larger than life in many senses of the word. She unfortunately died a few years ago, and we renamed the centre after her. So why am I so involved, and why is it a very important part of my life? Well, when I moved to Oxford, somebody said to me, you're moving to the city of the Dreaming Spires, do you want to keep your feet on the ground? If you do, get involved in the Advice Centre on Blackbird Leys, and that's certainly what it does for me and lots of other people. It's also a rare combination of being firmly rooted in the local community, but also giving advice to a professional standard. And it's also an experience that I really value of working with a range of people from different backgrounds to a common end. And that isn't that common. What's life like in Blackbird Leys? Well, it's outside the Ring Road, as you probably know. Cowley is probably the centre for people in Blackbird Leys. Over 1 in 3 children live in poverty. It's in the bottom 10th of the small areas that the government does in the index of multiple deprivation. Many people have no qualifications or low qualifications. There are lots of lone parents. Some people are unemployed or low paid. There's a high percentage living in social housing. And the thing that got to me most when I was starting to be involved in the Advice Centre is that nearly 1 in 4 of our users have a disability or a long-term illness. And that's also true of some of our volunteers. What do we do? Well, I think we fit very well with the Funding Network's commitment to social change. Now, we do meet urgent needs. And with the help of local charities, we actually do give emergency payments, for example, to somebody whose benefits haven't arrived and they can't feed the children for the weekend. We do give urgent help to people with problems. We had a 70-year-old man once, for example, who was sleeping in his car because he'd been chucked out by his wife, and we helped him get rehoused because of our good relationship with the City Council very quickly. But our main work is actually helping people get the rights that the government has granted them in principle, but they don't necessarily get in practice. For example, billions of pounds are actually unclaimed in benefits and tax credits for people in and out of work, and we help them claim those. In particular, we help disabled people get benefits that help them continue to live independently in their own homes. And we even had one retired man who didn't claim his retirement pension, and we helped him do that. We also challenge wrong decisions by the authorities, and we sort out those administrative muddles with benefits and other things which throw the lives of low-income families into complete chaos. We help people with debts who often feel paralysed, and we help them move on. So we prevent evictions, for example. We deal with bailiffs. We negotiate with creditors. And sometimes, when all else fails, we have to help people make a fresh start from their debts. What about the impact of our work? Well, it's not just extra money, although don't let anybody tell you that extra money is not worth something in Blackbird Leys. And in particular, of course, if you give it to claimants, it's actually going straight into the local economy as well. But also, of course, if people get their rights, then it gives them more peace of mind. If their debts are sorted out, it gives them improved mental health. They can see light at the end of what is often a very dark tunnel, and they take back control of their lives, and we help them do all of those things. What about the ask tonight, as they say? Well, another part of the work that I've always been very passionate about at the Advice Centre is providing opportunities for local people to work there as volunteers. They get work experience, they improve their employability, they sometimes do it because they want to give something back, so they've been ex-users or clients, if you like. Some stay long term, particularly if they have health problems that mean they can't hold a permanent job. Some move on to education or work. Some, like Letitia, who is a local lone parent who was born on Blackbird Leys, actually moved on from being a volunteer to apply for a paid job in our organisation, and she's got it. But some volunteers in the past, like Letitia, have actually wanted to develop a job from admin and reception to doing some unpaid volunteer advice, for example. And we haven't been able to support them in that because we haven't had the capacity. But now with demand increasing and benefits changing and a new committed and very capable centre manager, we are taking a step change to do a project to recruit up to 4 volunteer advisors. We've actually got the money from something called the Future Building Fund for half of that. And the other half we want to raise to adapt the building and to redecorate it. It's actually disrespectful to clients at the moment because it's in such a bad state. But we need more confidential interview space in order to recruit the advisors. So we need the other half of the money to do that. Yesterday, we got half of the half. So we got half the remaining money that we needed yesterday in order to do that work for the building. And what we're asking you tonight is to help us get the other half, the other half of the half, the other quarter that we need to finish the job. That's because our premises are too small and cramped for what we want to do at the moment. Thank you very much. Both Letitia and I would be prepared to answer questions.
Letitia, why did you go for the job?
I've been volunteering at the Agnes Smith Advice Centre for 2 years. Kind of, I started volunteering to just gain experience. I used to be a hairdresser, and so kind of reception work and the advice work I had no experience in whatsoever. So I started volunteering to gain experience because that's the kind of role that I wanted to do in the future, the kind of job that I wanted to get. And so when the job position came up, I just went for it and